mental health. Entrepreneurship can be very stressful. You're managing a lot of things at the same time. So I wanted to do this episode about mental health, and I wanted to start with, so James, how has your mental health been since Pornhub got taken off?
Dude, I mean, it's been chaotic. I mean, Florida legislation, I'm not really sure what the hell you guys are doing out there, but you've taken away porn, you've taken away gambling. Both of these websites were cut off of me today, and absolutely horrendous. I mean, I'm saving money, guys, but Jesus Christ. I mean, I think it's going to cause a lot of issues with the men out here, and mental health is definitely going out the hill today. But I think
Yes.
hopefully they'll get that worked out pretty soon.
In all seriousness, how do you manage stress? It's
You should be able to answer that.
don't don't maybe don't tell the whole truth, but at least give us some professional advice for other entrepreneurs out there as to, what are some practical tips and tricks to manage stress, and maybe tell us about a time when you've been particularly stressed and how you handled it.
Cocaine, alcohol, Louis. I'm just kidding. Um, no, I tell you, that's probably one of the biggest things, especially being an entrepreneur, because I mean, your mind never cuts off. I mean, there's always something you could be doing. You're the HR director, you're the marketing director, you're the CEO, CFO. Always something you can do, and mental health is big. I mean, I think a lot of people quit in being entrepreneurs because of the stress level. I mean, me being single, it really doesn't. I mean, hell, I can work all the time, right? As long as I can have internet and travel. But yeah, I think it's big. I mean, I think that's one of the big reasons people get out of this because they get so stressed, especially with family life. I mean,
Yeah.
you deal with this. I mean, I would talk to your husband a lot. I
Maybe
mean,
too
I
much.
know he'll call me and he'll be like, "Dude, you got to do something." Shit.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys gang up
Yeah,
against me. I know
but
all about that.
it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a serious thing. But I mean, me, I think what I do is, and you tell me this. I mean, day in and day out is just breathe, right?
Yeah.
And like this week alone, I mean, this is a perfect example. We got four closings this week, and stress levels out the yin yang, right?
Yeah.
And there's only so many things you can control in life, and I think that's the biggest thing is you have to realize that you can only control what you can control, and the other shit you just line it up and hope to God it falls in place, and if it doesn't, help it fall into place. But
And
like
if it still doesn't, like if the shit really hits the fan, and things don't work out for whatever reason, we have a four-letter word that we always fall back on as entrepreneurs, and that is next.
yeah, I mean, and that's the hardest thing to do in any type of career is just being able to say next, because
Yeah.
there's some people you can't help, some people you don't mesh with, some deals don't work. You just have to move on. And I know when we started, like in 6 or 7 years ago in our business, it's you want to try to make everything work, but if you don't next it, it just causes you more stress and it causes
Right.
you more. You're better off going out and trying to find two more deals to
Right.
offset that. So.
I agree with that, and I think it's a balancing act between saying, okay, that hasn't worked out, let's turn the page and not dwell on it. But equally, before we turn that page and say next, we also make sure that we debrief on it. Okay, why didn't this work? Is there anything we could do differently next time? Let's make sure this is a learning experience, you know, and a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, who are successful, it's about sometimes accumulating the number of failures. And as long as each failure is a lesson, just keep accumulating those failures until you reach a level of success, because each failure is teaching you something. And as long as you're open to learning and making sure that you do things differently the next time, then it's actually you can turn it into a very positive experience, right?
I mean, I'm going through this right now. I haven't even talked to you about this one, but I think we lost a deal. And I literally we had the deal, and then 2 months from now we were supposed to get the listing, and all of a sudden now it's gone sideways. So it's like now I'm trying to figure, okay, what did we do wrong? And there's really nothing we could have done different. It was just a matter of like this one was more of a communication than anything, but a language barrier.
Right.
But it's you always have to do a 360, and a lot of my mentors coming up, especially in the banking career, and me being the youngest senior vice president, I always got that put on to me
Yeah.
is what could I do differently? What could I have done for a different outcome? Or why did that outcome happen the way it did? And it's the hardest pill to swallow of being an entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
it's the best possible pill to swallow that you're going to learn from and then make you better. And then you're going to get this aha moment.
Yeah.
Shit, it worked.
Yeah.
So,
And how do you protect your mental health? Because obviously, in any business as an entrepreneur, it's very up and down. It's almost like it's a roller coaster. And you've got to hang on tight through the ups, but you've got to hang on tight down the lows. And it's constantly, this roller coaster ride. I think in any business, it's not linear. You try to plan and strategize and have your goals and make sure it's as linear as can possibly be. But the reality is that it's a roller coaster and you have to hang on tight. How do you protect your mental health through that roller coaster ride?
I mean, I stay single, so that helps me, guys. You don't have to live like me, but shit, $20 is $20, no matter where you go. No, I mean, you just
Mm,
have to really just focus on what you can focus on, and don't get highs and lows. Keep level headed, and don't get upset for things that you can't control because you can easily lose control over anything really
yeah.
that you can't control. I mean, it
Right.
all comes down to that when it's all said and done. I mean, I'm dealing with it day in and day out right now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's at some point where you just got to just breathe,
Yeah.
you know, go to
Yeah.
the gym, take a break, get up, rest,
Yeah.
because you can drive yourself crazy just trying to figure it out, figure it out, figure it out when there's nothing you can figure out. It's out of your control.
Right. It just is what it is, and you sometimes just have to accept the situation for what it is. Um, I'm obviously in a situation. I'm married. I have children. I'm an empty nester. But I still have responsibilities, and I'm in a long-term marriage with somebody that I've known since I was 14 years old. And if you're in a relationship and in a marriage and you're trying to be an entrepreneur like I am, it's about balance. It's about setting boundaries and trying to have those boundaries between your personal life and your professional life. And, if things aren't going well professionally at any time or you've had some disappointments, is trying your best not to let that impact your home life and what's going on at home. And it's definitely not the easiest thing to achieve. But I think if you make a conscious effort to try and somewhat separate the two in your mind and leave work at work, even if obviously after the pandemic a lot of people worked from home. And while that seems great in practice, I think sometimes it's difficult to have that separation between work life and home life, and to achieve that balance. And you've really got to be very mindful, systematic, and purposeful about separating those two and making sure you enjoy your personal life with your spouse and you're doing things and getting out. But then when it's work time, they understand, even if you happen to be physically in the house at that time, now it's work time and you're 100% focused on that. And I actually sent this advice to Vanessa this week as well. And I said, make sure you're 100% in when it's work time and you're 100% in when it's not work time. And you've got that cut off, and it can be very difficult to achieve, but it's a learned process. It's a learned attitude, would you say?
I mean, I think that's perfect. Or you get them in a different career where they only see them once every 2 weeks, like you. But no, the funny story is, and I'm not predominant this or anything, but I was like doing some mentoring in a nursing home a couple like 2 or 3 weeks ago, seeing this lady and this guy. This is funny, and this is a true ass story. This is so
Oh
funny.
no.
And I was sitting there, and the we were talking, and asked the guy. They've been married 81 years or something.
What? How old are
Crazy.
they?
They were like the guy was like
100?
100. Yeah, he was almost like 98 something years old. Perfectly sound, everything, man. And it was crazy. And I said, sir, how you doing? The guy looked right at me. He said, I cheat on her. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my God. Like, seriously, he said that. Hi. All right, next. All right, sir, let's go.
Moving on.
Yeah, so it was funny, but yeah, I think it's like, as an entrepreneur like myself, me and you we have different expertises in different areas. I mean, that's the only way it works. I mean, being in banking for 18 years prior to being in real estate, the number one thing is, what's the money for? It's to buy my partner out. And it's because you can't have the same type of people, and I think it's just the relationships, and not that I'm an expert, shit, because I can't get one to work out, but, but I can tell you, you
You
know,
can't get one. I
can't,
think.
it's got to be something I can put on a plane for the next week or so and see him next week. But I think you have to be different, have to be like different activities. You
Yeah,
have to have your own life. I
yeah,
mean, and
you
that's the
do.
only way, I think it works. And
You do. I think, it's very much about being your own person in a relationship, and we're veering into, I guess this is a big part of mental health is personal relationships, but I feel like it's about having your own interests, having your own goals, making a little niche for yourself as your own person. And then whoever you're married to or dating or whatever is a cherry on the top of that
hmm,
cake, right? They're not, you're not basing your life around that person or, you know, being so reliant on them that you almost lose your own personality. And I think I'm very lucky, in that respect, that we have that in our relationship. And, my husband's very much into iRacing and, all of that. But there are activities that we like to do together, but scuba diving or like
hmm.
e-foiling we're into now, which I'm really enjoying, and we're learning that together. So that's cool. But yeah, I think making sure that, your stresses at work aren't tumbling over into your personal life is very, very difficult. Probably for everybody, not just entrepreneurs, would you
That's
say?
true. I mean, my girlfriend lives in Medellin, so Colombia. So I see her once a month. So it works out perfect.
Ah.
Sorry, babe.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to hear from Vanessa now.
Talking about mental health and, how we stay focused as entrepreneurs and how it's hard to stay, sometimes motivated
Yeah.
and mentally all in. And, myself, we were just talking mentally, I sometimes have to just step back and breathe. And obviously, you're probably one of the biggest people that knows this. That I don't get upset about anything
hmm
anymore, and it's just because I've been doing this so long, multiple businesses. I literally just don't let stuff get to me anymore. It's like anything that's out of my control,
It,
it's just
yeah,
going to stress me out, and I just whatever, it is
it's,
what it
you
is.
can't do anything about
So
it.
you're better off like finding more business or moving on and doing other things. But how are you handling that? I know you're starting to pick up a lot more business, and how are you moving through that?
I
What do you
think,
feel like you're doing to help with that?
I mean, like I said, working out definitely does help with that stress. I mean, finding time for it all the times is not always there. I do take Sundays completely to myself. Like that is my day. And it's like a number one rule for me because if you just don't have that time to disconnect and say like absolutely no work, um, it's you have to have a day to like free your mind, regardless if there's something to do like and it creates boundaries and you should always have healthy boundaries in friendships, relationships, work relation, whatever it is, there has to be that there. No, it works. Sometimes I wish I had more than just a day, but it definitely does It works. I can't say that there isn't something always like a little bit to do, but for the most part, taking that one day, it has helped because I have at least one day to look forward to where I can say no. Like I'm saying no
Hmm.
today.
Yeah, I think Joanne's going to be, she's not going to be excited when she sees my New Year's resolutions because one of those is taking more time for myself
It's healthy. It's very
and really learn to say no on certain things
mm,
and not going out so much. And it's not that I don't want to go out, it's just like taking that time for yourself and just self reflecting and
just
relaxing and
yeah,
having nobody.
disconnecting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is, one of the things that's been most stressful for you about starting out? Obviously, you're starting to really kick butt in the real estate world, getting a lot more listings. What is, been the most stressful thing for you? How do you keep that, even keel? How are you um, dealing with this? Because
I
obviously it's a lot more.
It's a lot. It really is. I think just learning because you are one person, and the most successful people, they build a really good team. And we're lucky that we have a really good team that we could trust each other and we're reliable individuals. But, sometimes you're just like networking and stuff like that. I think it's hard to find things and realize that you don't have control over everything and you're not going to know
Mm,
everything. I think that's the hardest part is realizing that one, you're going to have to trust the people that you work with and they're going to be reliable, that they're going to be there because that's going to lift a lot of stress for you. um but the other part is that you aren't going to know everything,
mm,
and I think that's where I probably struggle the most is being like something that might take 5 minutes ends up taking 5 hours and I
mm.
am like, okay, well, there goes 5 hours of sleep tonight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I think just to add up on that, a couple things that have helped me over the years and is really, helped me get to the next level is number one, I say no to things that are not going to either move me forward in my career, introduce me to somebody that's going to help me, you know, surround me with the right people.
mm,
Happy hour is not a good thing for me anymore. Happy hour, unless it's going to be happy hour with lots of business owners or other entrepreneurs. I just don't have the, I don't have the capacity for it, and plus, it's not a good benefit for my time. And another thing is delegation. Delegation is huge, something I never um, was good at, um, especially when I always like to be in control of everything. It's still struggle with that, but
yeah,
delegation and saying no is two of the biggest things that's helped me as being an entrepreneur now in my life. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because if you go, I was sitting on a plane yesterday traveling. And this lady asked me, she owned a business and she asked me to go play golf the next day. And I was like, eh, 2 years ago, I would have said, hell yeah, let's go play golf. But now in my mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, dude, this is 9 hours. It could be another 8. If she's not really wanting to talk business, I'm out of a whole day. And I'm like, screw that,
yeah.
Then I just tell her I don't play golf.
Time management, right?
That's it.
Yeah. What do you think would be the signs of poor mental health with an entrepreneur?
Yeah, when I'm calling my dealer if I want an 8 ball that night, probably is where I probably start out. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No, poor mental health. I mean, breaking down. I think probably the biggest things is breaking down, losing losing your motivation is big. Depression is huge, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to um, entrepreneurs, and you really don't even see it setting up on yourself until you turn around and be like, I haven't got shit done all day. And then you just call your doctor and get Adderall, and then you're all better. What's the benefit you think of entrepreneurs hiring therapists in the workplace?
So, no, I don't talk to a therapist, but I know therapists. I need therapists because I mean, it's one of those things where, they're dealing with people's problems all day, just kind of like we're dealing with people's problems all day. We're constantly trying to solve things. Sometimes you just need someone to listen to you.
Hmm.
and you just have to vent it instead of taking it home, let's say to your husband, your wife, your friends. They're constantly hearing about you complain and all these other things. It's just healthy, and they're there to help cope you through it, or maybe think of different options of how to work through it, or maybe that's not even something that you should just throw away.
Yeah. I mean, I know some of the top entrepreneurs and some of the most wealthy people in the world, have therapists on
Hmm.
staff. I mean, I can't ever say I've done it maybe once in my life, but I was going through a hard time. And it's probably good that you do it. Um,
It's very healthy.
but I've never done it. But yeah, I'm always been one that's been able to
Mm.
kick my own butt and get back into gear. Guys, have you even checked us out on Spotify or YouTube? Check us out, the link below. Deal us in the new podcast.